The views and opinions expressed in the Distracted Librarians podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Bloomfield Township Public Library, Bloomfield Community Television, the Birmingham Area Cable Board, or its producers or production staff.
Hello and welcome. We're the Distracted Librarians, your friendly neighborhood bookworms who can't resist the siren call of movies, video games, music, and everything else in the pop culture universe.
Think of this podcast as a digital campfire where we share our latest obsessions, analyze the hidden depths of our favorite distractions, and maybe rediscover the joy of reading in between.
So, if you're a fellow media junkie, a book lover, or someone looking for a fun, engaging escape from your daily grind, you've come to the right place.
Sit back, relax, and prepare to get delightfully distracted with us.
Hey everybody! On today's episode, we are going to talk about books and movies we hate.
We are prepared to be nightmares.
And to start with, let's lay some ground rules.
Ooh.
Can we just, because we're all human beings, can we just say that these are our opinions, and we don't want to hurt anybody's favorite film or book or whatever, but it's okay that we hate them, and we don't have to have a strong reason why we hate something. We can just hate.
Yes.
Just because. Sometimes it's okay.
Okay. I'll absolve us of all our sins. I don't want to be mean, but.
Right, yes.
And now anything we talk about for the next half hour, we're clear.
Right, exactly. And I only mention that because it's like, I don't want to be mean about anybody's favorite or like malign the author or the whatever, but just like, not everything, you don't have to like everything.
Not everything is for everyone,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
And it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. So now that I've said that, let's just hate stuff. Like.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're going to start with books. Okay. Who has a book they hate the most? Should I start? Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was like gathering power. Like I'm like, well, but go ahead.
I'm actually going to do like a kid's book and
Yes.
just say like, I cannot stand this book. It makes me completely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it is Love You Forever by Robert Munsch.
So I know the book you're talking about. I don't, and I've read it, and I have zero memory of it, like the details of it. So can you explain what it is and then tell us exactly why you hate it?
So it is all about this parent who had a baby, and every single night or day they, sing this song or they say this rhyme to the baby before they go to bed. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then they get older, and the kid gets older, and then it's the same ritual every single time. And then eventually, when you start to get to the end, the roles have reversed. So
that's
now
right.
it is the child is an adult, and the parent is an elderly person.
That's right.
And the adult is going into the elderly person's room and saying or singing the song that is there.
I need you to know, my mother bought me this book when I was little. We had it. I think she really liked the sentiment behind it. Very, formative part of my childhood was the existence of this book. In this moment, I have realized that I still have this rhyme memorized.
Do you really?
And I really wish I didn't need that.
Yeah. Totally.
Couldn't that brain power be used doing something different?
So even as a children's librarian, this book did not even register in my brain for any reason until I had children. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a gift for our baby shower. And I remember reading it to my newborn daughter, and I was just so skeeved out by this story, which I feel is very sincerely sweet or whatever, but there's this creepy stalker kind of thing that's going on in this relationship. It is sort of like a codependent nitmare in my brain because I get it, the roles reverse, fine. And that's going to happen to maybe all of us or some of us. My children may have to take care of me someday. That's okay. But please don't sing Twinkle, Twinkle to me before I go to bed, because I will officially feel like an insignificant person at that point. Like, it's just, like, it's just too much. There's just
Yes.
too much. There's a discomfort there.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, handing the book to my husband and being like, we just need to get rid of this.
Yeah.
So that's my very strong feelings. I'm sorry if anybody loves it, but it's not for me.
To be fair, the words do change slightly when the son starts singing it to the mother. But yeah, it's a, as an adult, like reading it back, I've looked at that and been like,
It's a little icky.
I don't like this one.
A little icky.
Is it a little bit Norman Bates?
Could
A
be.
little bit.
It could be, yeah.
I think you could easily rewrite it into
Yeah, because
like
I
a
think
Norman
he's
Bates
like
AU.
cradling his mother in the last
God.
thing. Like he sneaks into her bedroom and he like cradles her. I'm like,
I don't like that. I don't like that.
no, thank you. Please don't sneak in. Okay, anyway, who's next? Give me a book you hate.
All of my books that I chose that I hate for this are books that I chose for my book club. So I run a book club at the library. It's general fiction. And we have to choose the books about a year in advance. So we can, get the copies and have it prepared, make sure other groups aren't doing it. So a lot of the times I'll pick books that are in the general zeitgeist that like have gotten a lot of popularity. And it's like, oh, sure, we could talk about this. It's not something that we've covered the rest of the year. And I'll get around to actually reading it, and it will just be, to me, garbage.
Yeah.
And just the lowest of the reading experiences, like I put it off until
The last
Sunday night at
minute.
11 p.m.
And then you just have to binge it. And
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my gosh.
And I have that with a lot of these books because I don't read general fiction all that much.
Yeah, I don't either.
So when I find ones that I really like in doing the book club, that is a huge benefit. But then there are the books like The Silent Patient, The Paris Apartment.
Sorry.
What else did I hate? Where the Crawdads Sing, Nine Perfect Strangers, that I recognize that there is an audience for these things, and I recognize that I may not be the target audience for them, but that does not make them good.
Just to add to that, The Silent Patient is just a worse version of The Swan Thieves by Elizabeth Kostova. Like, it's the same story, but not as good because it came after, and it's just basically a retelling of a story that came before it. It feels to me, this sounds mean, I don't mean it to sound mean, but it feels rip-offy, and that kind of is not fun as a reading experience.
Right.
And
if you've read both.
If you've read both, yeah,
Right?
yes.
So
If
for
you-
someone
yeah.
who might not have read the other book,
Sure.
they might say, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and
Yeah.
think that the other one is a ripoff.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's true.
I had that experience. This is completely off kilter. When I got to college, because I liked How I Met Your Mother at the time, and I had one of my roommates, as soon as I started watching it, was like, this is just a worse Friends. You realize that, don't you? And to this day, I've refused to watch a single Friends episode because he said this to me in 2008.
Yeah.
I've never let go of this grudge.
Oh my goodness.
I have the same love-hate relationship with both of those shows, so
I feel strongly about them both as well.
it's
Not a fan of either of them, actually.
I am a fan of certain things, and I have watched them both several times. And the more I watch them, the more I dislike them.
There you go.
Because I start thinking about them more.
I went to the gym yesterday, and of course they've got like every television on earth at the gym.
Yeah.
And I look before I chose my elliptical. I'm like, which TV is Friends on? Because I don't want to be in front of that one. Like, I just
call.
yeah. I'm not a fan either.
all the way.
Yeah, not a fan either.
All right, another book we hate.
My go-to for, for this kind of question, they tend to be things that I was forced to read in school. And the one that I knee-jerk reaction to every time is Heart of Darkness.
I have a friend who also passionately hates Heart of Darkness.
And here's the thing. I know I read it in AP English. I loved most of what I read in AP English, honestly. I could not tell you why I hate this book anymore because my brain has so completely been like, You don't need to know this. You don't need this discomfort in your life. You don't need to remember this. So the only thing that is left is this pure hatred of this book that I cannot articulate why it's there.
It's been refined into like a diamond of
Yeah.
vitriol that is just
Exactly.
it's just sort of like it is such a all of the unnecessary elements of your hatred have been cast aside, like the plot, the characters, whatever. Who cares? I just hate it.
Which is why I think it's the one that I knee-jerk reaction to, because I have so completely lost the plot on why I hate it. The only thing there is the emotion about it.
See, and I like joke about your reaction because it's the same exact reaction that I have to the book that I hate, which is A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain. I wanted to read this book because I had an English teacher in high school that I looked up to, and I was like, what's a book that's good? Like, what's a classic that's good that you really liked? Because I want to be cool and I want to like it too. And he said, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. And so I went to my library and I got it out and I was like, why do you like this? It's so bad. Like I tried to read it twice, and I got like a third of the way the first time, and I got like 35 pages in the second time, and I'm like, I hate this book. So I don't even remember what it's about anymore. But there's just so much talking. There's so much talking. Like Mark Twain will not shut up. I cannot read a book with so much talking in it.
Yeah.
And I know that's a super vague reason to hate something, but like you, Killian, I'm like, I cannot, that's the only glimmer of the diamond that I can share with someone, is saying like, I hate it because there's so much talking. Everything else is gone.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Yeah. And I think that, like, I don't know, it's like our brains are protecting ourselves.
Right?
I think
you
it's
know,
that, yeah.
from like just the amount of involvement or effort that it takes to like even hold that in there.
Yeah.
Like that core memory, just like straight down the toilet.
But I can hold on to the I love you forever rhyme.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
obviously.
You get to have that, Killian. Enjoy.
Take it to your grave.
Take it
I
forever.
don't want it.
Oh my goodness
Yeah, it's
gracious.
like,
No, I'm the same way with things leaving my mind the second I don't like them. Like I was to prepare for this, look at my did not finish list on Goodreads. I couldn't tell you why I hated any of them.
Yeah.
And some of that is, I read 20, 30% and put it down. So I genuinely don't know what it's about to a certain
Yeah,
extent.
yeah.
But like, for the most part, I can't tell you why I hated it.
Yeah. I feel that way about The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. Like, I wanted to read her books knowing that people thought that they were important and like these are masterpieces, they're classics, they're 1 billion pages long, they're huge books, which like I tend to like. I'm like, ooh, look how big that is. Look at how much how much energy I can put into reading this book. And I had to DNF it because it just wasn't, I could not get past like the first 100 pages. And that was one that I felt really bad putting down because I'm like, why can't I like this? I know that people like this book.
Yeah.
And I read Anthem by Ayn Rand, which is like something you could read in one sitting. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful. And I'm like, I know I'm going to like this because I read this other book and it meant so much to me. And then totally was disappointed by the whole thing.
It's funny you mentioned the just liking things that are long. One of the things, and this kind of goes with you talking about yours, Emily, and how Mark Twain just is a lot of talking. Oh my gosh, yeah. One of the other ones on my list, again, these are all things that I've been forced to read at some point. I have deeply hated Charles Dickens since I was a freshman in high school. And we read Great Expectations. And one of the things that they teach you about Charles Dickens when you start reading Dickens in any class ever is that he wrote serially. So it was like paid by the word and published.
Right.
And I'm like, you can tell.
Because he just keeps going and going and going.
I swear there are sentences that this man has written that are like 3 pages long.
Oh, goodness.
And my brain cannot hold on to the meaning of that sentence 3 pages later
Yeah.
when it hasn't ended yet.
That's so ridiculous.
And so that has been, I struggled so much my freshman year of high school. I've always been a big reader. I never had any problem with any assigned reading other than like potentially not liking the book until my freshman English class when we were reading Great Expectations, and I was crying at home because I couldn't read this book.
Yeah.
And my dad was just like, here, and hands me a print copy of the Cliff's Notes that he had found for me because he was like, this is not,
it's not worth it.
it's like,
Yeah.
if my daughter who reads everything can't read this,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
we just got to get her through it for
Yep.
this class. And people will be all mad about people reading like summaries of things and not like fully reading. No, that is what like saved me.
Yeah.
And any other time, I got through an English degree without having to read a ton more Charles Dickens. I think I only was supposed to read one other thing when I took a Victorian lit class, and I simply did not.
You followed your dad's example.
We were reading Oliver Twist, and it was supposed to be we were reading it like through the entire semester, so you were reading it similarly to how he was publishing it.
Oh, my
and I was
God.
like, no, absolutely not. I'm not doing this.
My first semester of grad school, we did that with Moby Dick.
Oh.
The only text that we read for my intro to literary studies for my MA program was Moby Dick.
Oh, why?
And it was like, do you want to learn about whaling? Because you're gonna.
You're like, no, I never.
No, I'm okay, thank you. Like, well, strap in, because we're gonna learn about whaling. I'm like, okay, 16 weeks of nothing but Moby Dick.
Oh.
Nothing but Moby Dick. And then journal articles and scholarship about Moby Dick, and then scholarship about Moby Dick. And at a certain point, I was in the basement working on my final essay, crying to my mom of like, I just don't want to read this anymore. Or like, it's the same kind of, I'm glad that I read it. Had I not been forced to read it, I would never have read Moby Dick. But it's the same kind of agonizing, like, let's build on the thing that came before and came before and came before. And it's just like, oh man, it's tough.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Lord of the Flies.
Ooh.
Also on my list.
I mean, I think it's like required reading
Yeah.
for most high schools.
Yes, I read it in high school too.
I read it in 8th grade. It was
That seems too early.
That seems a little
it
bit
was
Yeah.
we had this thing called team time, so it wasn't even like within my regular English class.
Oh, okay.
And you cycled through all 4 of the core teachers in the course of the semester. So it was a shorter, like intense study of something. So one of them was public speaking, but the language arts teacher did an in-depth study of a book for the 2 that she did. And the first one we did was The Devil's Arithmetic, and the second one was Lord of the Flies. And I had a visceral reaction to that book too.
Yeah.
As you should.
And
Yes.
then when I got into AP English, that was one of the options for our summer reading. Like, you had to read Jane Eyre, Brave New World, or Lord of the Flies. And I was like, well, I'm not touching that one. And I ended up reading Brave New World, and I enjoyed that. But
Yeah.
based on that 8th grade experience with Lord of the Flies, I was like, no, I will not pick this up.
Yeah.
I just had a snapshot back to my summer reading for 10th grade, which was Brave New World and Lord of the Flies were part of that, like AP or honors English assignment. I read both of them in one summer, and I was like, I'm only 15 and I'm scared now. Like,
That's one way to destroy your faith in the world.
of the future and of the past. Everything's bad. Like, and
Well, I had been reading like horror and
Yeah.
reading thrillers
Right.
and reading true crime and all of these things. And they hand me this little paperback, and I'm like, oh, you got nothing on me.
oh, I know.
And I
right?
read that book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am not emotionally prepared for this.
My mother, who also has a profound and passionate hatred for Lord of the Flies, she saw my reading list for honors English, and she was like, if you want to talk about this book,
Let's process
I'm
the trauma that's
I'm
going to
here for
happen
you.
from this story.
And she says, she's like, I hate this book, and if you don't want to read it, it's okay with me if you don't. Like, if you get to a point where you
Wow.
like if you can't
Yeah.
handle it, like if you like don't, you can like we'll figure it out, you know? I was like, okay, Mom, it'll be fine. And then I was like, Mom, it's not fine.
No, not fine.
Oh,
Not fine.
yeah,
Not even a little bit.
not even a little bit fine.
Yeah.
So, petition to rethink the high school literary canon because my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single one is traumatizing.
To kind of, before we move on to film, one of the other ones that I read in middle school that was on like the list of like books that you're gonna read in middle school, Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. And I remember being deeply disturbed by that book in ways that I couldn't really articulate as a like a 13, 14-year-old, in ways that I, even as an adult, I can't, because I haven't read it since then because I had such a visceral response and dislike for this book. And I don't know if it was because it was so violent at the time. I saw it as being fairly violent or just very bleak. I don't know particularly what it was, and I couldn't articulate now like why I really, really hate that book. But I just felt like, I'm like, this seems beyond like my 13-year-old. I just don't, and I mean, I don't think you have to sugarcoat everything and that kids can't handle, you know, things that are political or intense or disturbing. I mean, I think that sort of makes an assumption about people's childhoods as not being like, oh, people are sheltered or everybody's life is easy or childhood is so great. Like, I'm not, you know, and I don't want to assume that, but like, I don't know. There was just something about it where I was reading it. I was like, I don't think I should be reading this yet.
The hard right that series takes.
Yeah.
From these children's games.
Yeah.
And like the petty squabbles of the 12-year-olds.
Well, because yes, exactly. Because the petty squabbles of the 12-year-olds turn into, I'm going to break your nose in the shower.
Yes.
Like, and have this, I'm going to start a fight with you when all the adults are in the other room so I can try to kill you. Like, it's that, I mean, it was like that where I was like, oh, I don't know, dude. Like,
Wow.
it's a lot.
I was in a science fiction and fantasy book club in middle school that our school librarian put together, and we read Ender's Game for that. And I had complicated like feelings about it then, and I've read it again since, and I still have really complicated feelings about that book.
Yeah.
In a way that I'm sitting here going, I may need to just read this again to attempt to articulate it.
Yeah.
Because I think the reasons that I dislike it and the reasons that I like it are looking at the same thing from two different perspectives.
No, I think,
which is why it confuses me.
Well, but I think it can be both things. You know, you can have the perspective that you had at the time, and you can have the perspective that you have now, and those two things can be at odds with each other, and they're both fully valid things.
They were at odds from the beginning, and that's what.
Oh, I know.
makes it
Yeah,
so
no, yeah,
confusing.
absolutely. Yeah, it's hard.
I think I can process that better in my 30s than I could when I was
exactly
12.
Exactly.
All right. Do we have any movies we hate?
I'll start. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I know this is a book. I haven't read the book. I tried. It was checked out of our collection. I was going to read it first. But I really hate The Hunt for Red October. And I'm sad about this because it has two actors in it that I love. I love Sean Connery. I love Tim Curry. I really hate this movie. And when I was younger, I tried to watch it because it was on. My family was watching it. And I fell asleep. And
That's always a good
It's like, well, okay.
good way to start things.
I was like, this is so boring and awful. I fell asleep through it. It must be terrible. And then we were prepping for this episode, and I thought, I know what I'll do. I'm going to rewatch The Hunt for Red October to see if I still hate it. I still hate it, and I feel bad because everybody else, it's like critically acclaimed, and everybody likes it and thinks that it's wonderful, and I don't understand. It's boring. It's just boring. Like, it's boring, and the action isn't. I just hate it, guys. Like,
It's okay to hate it, Emily. It's totally okay to hate it.
I feel like I'm either too dumb to follow the plot, or I don't know. I feel bad that I don't get it, but there's something I'm missing. I just think it's stupid.
I have a tendency of feeling that's the way I felt about the Ayn Rand book. It's like, it's a situation where you're like, I am intelligent enough to have read this. and understood them and respect them and like appreciate them for what they are. And then you come back to this thing and you're like, okay, I'm going to read this now and it's going to be great because everybody else loves it. And then you read it and you're like, am I stupid? Well, like, and I hate that word and I don't like to use it, but it's like you start to question, am I capable of understanding what this is about? And like, is that why this is a problem for me?
And I was watching this thinking, like, am I just getting lost in the number of submarines?
Yeah.
Because there's like 3 submarines. Yeah. It's not just the one. There's the other submarine that takes us to the first submarine, and then the other submarine that comes in to stop the second submarine from getting to the first submarine, and then there's the non-submarine boat. And then there are all the little lifeboats, and we sit on the deck of the submarine before the submarine goes back down. But it's also like, why do we care if okay.
Some people really love submarines.
So many boats.
Yeah, and boats.
So many. And then they're gonna pass notes with the periscope.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I'm gonna pass a note to Sean Connery. Is he gonna be the only person who sees it? And the American captain's like, yeah, I bet, I'm sure. Let's just go. And there's like, we're gonna have our little beep 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 through the periscope. It's just this like, and Sean Connery spends the whole movie being like, I'm not gonna explain my perspective. You're all just going to follow my direction. And everybody says, okay. But I, too, would follow Sean Connery into scuttling the ship. Yeah. Fine. Yeah,
I just want to listen to him talk, to be honest. So, like, if he told me to, like, go do something, I'd be like, yes, Sean, just keep talking to me.
At this point, scuttle the ship. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I hated that movie so much.
I love how the accidental theme of this episode is just Emily hates boats.
Emily doesn't like boats.
Do you want to learn about whaling and periscope communication?
That's the takeaway. I just hate boats, guys.
Wow. All right.
Isn't there a spaceship in Ender's Game too? Maybe I hate everything. I hate boats.
Another movie. Give us another movie.
I won't say a movie, but The Office.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
The Office is my biggest, like, very similar to what you were saying, Nicole, of what am I missing here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not even a show that I hate. I just don't get.
I don't get it.
Like, it's a solid 6 to me. Like, it's not a terrible show. Mm-hmm. But I do not comprehend
all the
people
hype.
the people who have it as a 10.
Yeah.
And my brother and sister-in-law are some of those people.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I think a small part of it is that I saw Parks and Rec first.
Okay.
And seeing it in quote unquote the wrong order in terms of like when they were made.
Yeah.
Sure.
The Office just feels like mean Parks and Rec.
Okay. Okay.
But
I almost feel like, and I'm not saying that like a sitcom is trying to be realistic or even that it should, but it almost seems like, well, I guess that's the point of The Office is it's like a mockumentary, right? But it's like the people in it are they're awkward to a level that you almost couldn't exist. Like as people, like, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm like charismatic, but like the level of awkward is like critical mass, and I get secondhand embarrassment trying to watch clips of that show.
Secondhand embarrassment. That's like my life when I'm watching anything that, so like I will shut down something that most people think is funny because I'm so embarrassed that I need to leave.
Same.
Like I gotta go.
Me too.
Like, nope, I can't handle
I'm
feeling these feelings for these characters.
I'm sweating and like shaking back and forth in my seat, like trying to getting ready to run. It's like I can't handle this.
The fight or flight just gets engaged, and you're like, nope,
I gotta go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so in that case, like I'm kind of picky when it comes to like comedy films and things like that.
Yeah.
Like if it's something truly, truly embarrassing or uncomfortable, it's no longer funny to me. I'll be the only one sitting there not laughing because I'm just so yuck.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Jim Carrey in the 90s, The Mask and Ace Ventura and all of those things, and I'm probably going to upset people by saying this, but Jim Carrey makes my skin crawl.
Yeah,
like
he really does.
I was a kid who would stay up late and watch In Living Color. So I know Jim Carrey from like the roots, like from the very beginning when he was first doing comedy stuff. Fire Marshal Bill is some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. So I like him. But then the movies came out and it was like he just did Fire Marshal Bill, but like amped it up by 50, like on too much coffee. And then that was just every single character that he did after that. And
like he found out he could have that super expressive face.
Yeah.
And made that his brand.
Yeah. And it's just annoying and uncomfortable. Let's be real.
There's something about it that, and this sounds really dumb, but there's something about that kind of comedy or that kind of presentation that actually frightens me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like there, and I don't know if it's just like, but the sensory like overload of it, like of that like dramatic facial expressions and that like the loud and the like it's almost like chaotic in an unpredictable like it's scary to me.
It's like watching a mentally ill person.
He spent 10 years in a manic episode. And
yes.
And I think that might just be, is it like, because I'm a very sensitive, from a sense of like sensory wise, like noises are loud to me, smells are like really intense, like lights are really bright, like it's so a lot of that. So I think that for me as a watcher, that is very overwhelming
and not enjoyable
at all, in a way that someone else who's not as sensitive might,
sure,
you know, because they can maybe focus on the comedic aspects of that.
Yeah.
But I'm just here looking at like feeling the onslaught of like, it's just like, oh, I can't handle it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I loved those movies when I was young. I think that seeing them in like my first 10 years of life, that is how my brain worked.
Okay. Yeah.
And I can't watch them now. They're memories that I very happily left in the childhood box, and I haven't tried to bring with me like the Disney movies or some of the books that I liked then. Like there are things that I actively try and carry with me into adulthood, and those can stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those, the early Adam Sandler movies, they can stay there.
Yes.
They connected with me as a 12-year-old in ways that I'm not really looking at engaging with and thinking too closely about.
Sure.
But they can stay there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Killian, any movies?
I don't, like, I tried to think for this, and I think it's a similar thing to where I just completely forgot everything about Heart of Darkness, except that I hate it. I think in this case, if I don't like a movie that I see, my brain just goes, you don't need to remember this. Because, like, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm like, I can't think of anything. And I know there are movies that I don't like.
Yeah.
But I don't either. I have not had as strong a dislike for them as I have with, classics that I was forced to read in high school. Or I simply just don't remember it, which is a whole weird, okay, brain, what you doing? I remember things that I've watched that I've really liked. I remember things that I've watched that I was like, oh, this was weird, or I found people were like, oh, this is going to be really scary, and then it wasn't to me because, but things that I hate have no staying power, at least as far as movies go. I don't know.
Gotcha.
That's probably the healthier coping mechanism.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It makes it really hard to talk about, though.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, my hatred of boats can more than carry the...
Yes. Well, just for you listeners, if you have anything that you guys really hate, any books or movies that you really hate, please let us know, because I think I would be curious to hear what some of our listeners really hate and maybe why.
Or if you want to yell at us for our takes.
Yeah, that's okay too. I totally understand that some of the things we said today might not be everyone's opinions, for sure.
But we didn't want to be mean, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yes. All right, well, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Distracted Librarians.
If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out to us at distracted@btpl.org.
Until then, keep those pages turning and those screens lighting up.
We'll catch you in the next episode.